Hey y'all, and welcome to Brawl. My name is Brian, and rising GOP star Representative Brandon Gill makes this ridiculous Democrat ruin his own suit with one simple question. Let's dive in.
Let me ask you, do sanctuary city policies and mass illegal immigration help American citizens enter the labor force? Yes or no?
I don't know. That's not my area of expertise.
Okay, you don't know. Do sanctuary cities and mass illegal immigration help lower housing costs? Yes or no? You don't know? Yep. Do they help reduce the strain on public services or public benefits? You don't know? Okay. Do you think that illegal aliens, you're saying that they should have safe harbor essentially in our cities? Should they have free access to medical care?
They should have access to medical
Should
care.
they have taxpayer subsidized access to medical care?
Depends upon the circumstances, I guess. I don't know.
What about taxpayer subsidized education?
It's not my area of expertise.
Okay, public housing?
Not my
You
area.
don't know? You're inviting them to come into our cities, but you don't have a position on what should happen to them then, other than that illegal aliens should
I'm not
be
inviting
detained.
anyone.
Well, you essentially are, actually. Would you describe Baltimore as a safe city?
What's your definition of safe?
Well, I'm asking you, is Baltimore a safe city? Is it the kind of city that you would want to raise a family and maybe go jogging in without having to be worried about being murdered or raped?
I grew up in Baltimore. My family is in Baltimore. My mother still lives in the same house in West Baltimore.
Is it a safe city?
60+ years, so the answer is definitely yes.
You think Baltimore is a safe city?
Of course it is.
Okay, do you know what the homicide rate is in Baltimore?
Exactly no.
It's about 35 per 100,000. Do you know what the homicide rate is in the rest of the United States?
No, I don't.
I can tell you that the homicide rate in Baltimore is about 5 times the national average. Do you know how Baltimore's robbery rate compares to the rest of the United States?
At the moment, no, I don't.
You don't? It's about 8.4 times the national average. Do you know how Baltimore's assault rate compares to the national average?
No, I don't.
It's about 3.4 times higher. Does that sound like a safe city to you?
Safe to me and my family members.
So that's safe to you? 5 times higher than the national average for homicides? That's a safe city?
Perception.
It's what? Excuse me?
I said it's what for instance, it's perception. It's what you feel as a resident in Baltimore City.
If you're murdered, I don't think it matters what you feel, do you? Is it your testimony that the safety
Baltimore City
depends
is a
on
safe
how
city.
people feel?
To me, Baltimore City is a safe city.
To you, it's a safe city. I don't think it's safe to the people who are being murdered every single weekend there. Let me ask you, picking up on Mr. Knott's questioning, do you think that it's appropriate for local law enforcement to not honor immigration detainers and to release criminal and illegal aliens into our cities?
We go by what the courts dictate.
Well, I'm asking you if you think that that's an appropriate response. You arrest an illegal alien for a crime. That person has an immigration detainer. You think that it's appropriate to release them? Yes or no?
When the courts say release them, yes.
Do you think that keeps Baltimore safe?
If it's done appropriately, yes.
No. So you do.
Yes.
You think that that's a good way to keep.
When it's done appropriately according to the law, we cannot sidestep the law because we carry badges. We have to go by the law.
My time has expired. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
This retired major, his mind is broken. Okay, there's no way up around this. His mind is simply broken. And it's not because he doesn't use his mind. It's because he's not allowed to use his mind. See, this man has been serving the interests of Baltimore, one of the worst cities in America. Remember, 200 years ago, they basically started the War of 1812. The Star-Spangled Banner was written because of the British bombardment against Fort McHenry that defended Baltimore. It used to be one of the most important ports in America, and now it's one of the worst cities to live in. Outside of the Baltimore Orioles and the Baltimore Ravens, I don't think there are anything that's properly run by the taxpayer in Baltimore, and that's because they have hollowed out their middle class core like almost every single Democrat town and state in this country. Hawaii, New Mexico, Illinois, New York, and of course, New England and Maryland have all hollowed out their middle class, either making the rich fabulously wealthy or making the poor dependent on the wealthy's taxes. Okay? That's the sad reality of the majority of Democrat rule. And the worst part of it is what happens when rich white liberals dictate policy. This man, okay, Neil Franklin, should be a paragon of what law enforcement is supposed to do. But this dude has carried water for an organization that, let's be honest, there's a reason The Wire happened in Baltimore. Okay? That's where that show took place. And then Breaking Bad took place in New Mexico. What do those two places have in common? High crime and Democrat control. There's a reason that Bukele has become a paragon on the right, because he has used his power to fix his own nation and essentially said, okay, I'm done with what I needed to do. What is the next thing that I need to take care of? Okay? Bukele has been brought in to talk to Republicans, and at one of the major conferences even, with CPAC, if I'm not mistaken, or it might have been Turning Point. Either way, the right looks at the crime problem and says, we need to fix this, whereas Democrats say, oh no, we need to give them a loving, nurturing hand. No, spare the rod, spoil the child. At a certain point, we've got to look at crime in the face and take care of the issues. And Baltimore is right next to Washington, D.C., okay? If you look at a heat map or look at the light map, once everything goes dark and the satellites go over and they take pictures of the Earth and where all the light pollution, so to speak, ends up projecting, there's almost a straight line between DC and Baltimore. And that's because the edges of those areas are controlled by, say it with me, rich white liberals who continued that light pollution policy, who moved out of the cities into their own gated communities, and then dictate the way those cities are supposed to deal with criminals. Niall Franklin is out here trying to carry water for those people that basically control the actual city political structure. They might vote in people of color. They might vote in minorities to serve as token placements. But the reality is, Democrat cities know where their bread is buttered. They're the most corrupt areas in the entirety of the United States. And they keep on voting in people that don't actually deal with the crime problem. They make everything worse. Without a healthy, functional middle class, the crime problem gets worse. The rich white liberals move out of the areas, or worse, they move back into the cities, gentrify the areas, and basically kick out the people that used to be living there. There is no positive way Democrats can manage their cities, and you can actually see it in Niall Franklin's eyes, okay? You can see it in his body language. He knows where he's supposed to say certain things. He knows where to deflect from certain things, because he knows deep down that Democrat policies do not work. They don't work anymore, okay? The Cold War is over. The era after World War II, the era immediately following World War II is over. Those kinds of policies used to work in America about 70, 80 years ago. They don't anymore. It is time for a new era of politics. That's why Trump cuts right through the crap. That's why Brandon Gill is cutting through the nonsense, and he's a rising star in the GOP. By the way, keep your eye on this dude. And ultimately, the Democrats don't know what they're supposed to be doing anymore. They've been catering their entire lives to rich white liberals, and they've been seeping out support. They've been losing support of workers, union workers, laborers, and of course minority voters who are realizing that Democrat policies hurt their own constituency. That's why there's an entire organization called Chicago Flips Red, and they came before Congress a couple of days ago and gave an excoriating review about how badly Democrats have messed up one of the great cities of America, and that's exactly what's happening here. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.